Today, we're going to learn how to build an app using Google Sheets with ChatGPT. So this presentation is for everyone. That includes coders and non-coders. We're going to learn about Google Sheets, app scripts, and what a function is. So we'll be doing two different demos. We're going to learn a new language. We're going to use AI to convert English to Spanish. And then we're going to hear the pronunciation of the Spanish words. We're going to build a monthly budget. We're going to use AI to create custom categories for our expenses. We're going to use AI to analyze our monthly budget and give us advice similar to a financial advisor. So to be able to make this happen, we have to use something called app scripts. App scripts allows Google Sheets to have custom functions. A function is code that gives the computer instructions to perform an action. An example of an inbuilt function in Google Sheets is sum, which is adding two cells together to return a value. So for our first demo is we have these three columns: English, Spanish, and Spanish pronunciation. So you're gonna have to write down all the English words that you know or want to learn, and then using AI, it will convert English to Spanish. And then we're also going to hear the Spanish pronunciation of the word. So to get to app script, you click on extension, app script. And then in this files, you can add a file so you can create custom scripts. So the script I'm going to create is, I'm going to name it Spanish. And it creates this function right here. So the first step is to name the function. So I can name it Spanish, for example. Inside the parentheses is something called a parameter. So I'm just going to name this English word. Where this parameter actually comes from is actually from the Google Sheets cell itself. And first, we're going to create a template. So this is called a coding template. And this comes from OpenAI itself. You don't have to know what any of this means. It's just a template. You can just copy and paste it. The only thing you need to alter is the prompt, the API key, and then the role. So the API key, to be able to get it, we can go to Google. We can Google OpenAI API key, click on the first link, log in. And then we can click on, if you scroll down, there's API keys, and then we can create a new secret key. And I'll just call this one test. Create secret key. And then this is your API key. I can copy it. I can put it right here. And I'm going to walk through this prompt. So for this prompt, I said, convert this English word. And then there's this syntax called $bracket English word. It comes from this parameter English word. And then that parameter comes from the cell. So an example could be A2 to Spanish. The output should only be the Spanish word. So this right here is really important because if you ask ChatGPT this without that ending, it will give you this long sentence, but I only want the output to be the Spanish word. We're going to create another script, and this one's called pronounce Spanish word. And I'm just going to go and copy and paste this. So I asked AI, how can I hear the pronunciation of the Spanish word? And it gave me two options. The first one was to use AI, and the second option was to use an API called Google Translate. I chose the Google Translate route because number one, it's for free. And number two, if I were to use AI, I would have to pay for it. I have to create a login, put in my credit card number. But using this API, it was really simple and really easy. So I chose this route. To be able to get this function right here, I just asked AI, hey, how do I get hear the Spanish pronunciation of the word using Google Translate, and it returned back this function, and that's how I was able to get this function. Now, how do we get it to actually work? First, we go to the cell, we type in the function. So the first function was equals Spanish A2. Oh, I forgot to save it. So with here, you have to do Control S to save it. And let's see if it works now. Good. So you can see that it translated from English to Spanish, and I can repeat this over again. And then you can see all of it got translated from English to Spanish. For the Spanish pronunciation, type in the function equals pronounce Spanish word. And I'm going to go to cell B2. Might have misspelled this, so let me see. Let's try this again. Good. So it got us the link, and then to repeat this over again, I can drag it down. And if you click on this link, you will actually hear
Cero,
the pronunciation of the word.
cero,
So this is how to learn a new language. Some other things you see is that you can add different categories to help you learn whatever language you want to learn. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to create a monthly budget. So right here, all the columns, it includes transaction date, description, category, debit, and credit. So how I got all of this data is I use my bank, and I have Chase Bank as an example. I exported it, all my expenses as a CSV. I imported it, and then the description is like the things that I bought for the month. And we're going to use AI to get the category automatically. And then a part of my monthly budget is I create custom categories. So some examples would be total expenses, total income, net income, giving, rent, gas, restaurant, shopping, health, retirement, etc. And we're going to look at the app script function. So I created a category, and with this category, it looks at my description, and it converts it to one of my custom categories, the one that you saw from the monthly budget. So we're just going to read what this is. So the prompt is, give me the category of the financial transaction using only one word. The only categories that can be used includes income, giving, rent, gas, restaurant, shopping, health, etc. And one of the keys is this right here. So sometimes it doesn't know what the category is. So for example, in Texas, we have a grocery store called HEB. And so anytime it says the word HEB, it should always be groceries. Anytime it sees Costco, it should be groceries. Anytime it sees the word Amazon, it should be shopping. I also go to a lot of boba tea shops. So anytime it says the word tea, it should be restaurant. So this is kind of like training the AI to recognize what you spend on and what category it should be. And then there's also the API key, so I can copy it, put it in here. And then I can hit Control S to save it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the API key here. So what this function does is that I pass in all of the expenses and the category of my expenses in the parameters right here, which comes from the cells. And the prompt for this one is I'm tracking my budget for the month and trying to improve my finances. Can you give me positive and negative feedback on my finances for the month? And then I pass in all of my cells and all of my expenses for all of my categories. One of the big keys is this role right here. So I said, you are a financial advisor with 10 years of experience. So you could leave this blank, but it would not give you a detailed explanation. But with this one, it actually gave me a very detailed explanation of my expenses and my budget and recommendations on how I can improve it. So first, we're going to type in the function, which is equals cat. We're going to type in B2. So you can see it looked at Costco gas and returned back the category gas. And I can repeat this function all the way down. And you can see that it returned it back correctly. So it knew that HEB is in the category grocery, Kroger's in the category grocery, internet is in the category internet. And then you can see that these are my total expenses. And some of these are like functions. So it adds up all the transactions from row D2. And then it adds up all the transactions from my credit. This is my net income, which is subtracting these two. And then with this function is sum if. So it looks at the transaction row or column C all the way down. And if it sees the word giving, it will actually add all the transactions from the row D, which is my debit. And it adds it together. So you can see that as this as an example, it looks at column C. If it sees the restaurant column, then it will just add them all together. So I know that for this month, I spent $274.39. And then I also have this right here. Let me see, okay. So for this one, let me save this one, looks like, and it should work now. And then from here, you can see that it looked at all of my categories right here, and now it's giving me positive feedback of for my expenses, negative feedback. And then the other part is every month I have to define a budget. So for this month, I define my budget for giving is $648. My restaurant spending is $420. My shopping spending for this month is $400. And then I have this net budget right here. This lets me know if I'm over my budget or under my budget. And then I just subtracted how much I spent compared to my budget. And that's how I'm able to get this to work. And then I also have a percentage of my budget. So I just divided the budget expense compared to how much money I've made this month.